Hi, my name is Ruth and this is Fae Hollow Homestead. Welcome. It's been a while and I've got quite a few clips that have said that. I'm probably going to patch them in together either with this video or another video coming up, and you'll see how many times I've tried to do this, but it's actually happening this time for sure. Look at those peaches. Heavy laden, for sure. So we had our quails in this garden last year and we kept them there for about a year. And so there's a whole lot of quail debris afterwards. And so we planted our pumpkins here and oh my goodness, they've exploded. And really exciting how well the pumpkins are doing this year. I finished filling in I like sitting here. Finished filling in my 2 other raised beds, and we got some trellises going up over here. We got some pumpkins and cucumbers and some hyacinth, and I've got a weeping pussy willow right there that's slowly getting bigger and bigger. Right here on the corner, and then we've got lilac bushes filling in. Gosh, the hyacinth is just gorgeous. Just completely beautiful. Finally filled in my pots with perennials because I don't want to fill them up with annuals every year, that's for sure. And cucumbers are doing really well. We really went easy this year. We got some good tomatoes growing and some white horehound. This is a black-eyed Susan vine. It's gonna take over very shortly. It's slow to start, but then it goes really fast. And yeah, it's looking good. That butterfly bush that we planted and replanted, or transplanted I should say, got over its shock and is doing really, really well. My clematis always looks kind of gross at this time of year, but everything else is doing really good. The grapevine has really climbed over the trellis here, and then the fruit trees are getting big, and things are just coming along. Yeah, baby, you having a good time? The garden is still very much a flower garden right now because I just don't have the time to handle it and take care of this cute little baby that I've got here. But if you notice, we did take out all the hops because that was just overwhelming the garden and that was ridiculous. We did keep the passion fruit, and that is doing really, really well and getting lots of beautiful fruit. See, we got a flower right here. Okay, so we're going into the garden. This is year 6 of the garden area, the annual garden area, and then this is year 5 of the food forest. So things are really coming along. I'm so excited that we did this. These are rudbeckias that my mother-in-law planted the year that my husband Jeremy and I got married, and they have just kept coming back every year. So we really love having those. She is gone at the moment, but she's got some great corn going on. She's got some beets and some dill and some sage and some really beautiful things going on in her garden. We've been eating all of her pink blueberries up here. Well, we have. The baby has. Some tomatoes. The astragalus has really just gone crazy. And here you'll see some beautiful bumblebees getting in the flowers of it. But this is our astragalus bush, and it has grown to about my height. It's crazy. We got the Joe Pye weed right next to it, so this is a real pollinator friendly area. And I think this year we're going to harvest a bunch of the roots of the astragalus. Usually you want to wait about 5 years to harvest the roots, and we've got a bunch of side bushes that are coming up too of them. And so if we harvest this main big one, we'll get a lot of roots, and we'll still have some plants growing that started a couple years after. The chicken house is right here, and oh my goodness, I planted some grapes along the chicken fence right here, and it just looks so good. That's got to be one of my favorite views right there, with the asparagus and the Joe Pye and the astragalus and the grapes, and then just the mountains with whatever kind of sky is going on. I think that is just breathtaking. It's been a real low activity year, or couple years in the garden. I haven't had a whole lot of stuff to even take videos of, because all I'm really doing is just pulling out weeds and maybe just like pruning things. Not a whole lot. As you can see, I haven't even really weeded in this area, which doesn't matter to me. I'm okay with that. Right now, my focus is on raising babies, and it's lovely and I love it. And just coming out to enjoy the garden rather than slave in it right now. So this is the second year in a row that I have planted grandmother's cut flower mix from Botanical Interests, and every month there's a new color theme to the garden, and it's just gorgeous. And this month we've got a lot of yellow. We got some bee balm going on. There's lupine coming up, and delphinium. I've got these beautiful goldfinches that have taken up residence in the garden. This is Dara, and I've been trying to grow that for a while, and that has come up really beautifully. What I'm trying to do is draw as many pollinators as possible into the garden. Any of the carrot family, like Queen Anne's lace, Dara, dill, things like that, those are things that are really going to pull in the butterflies a lot, and especially the swallowtails, and they're my favorite, so I have planted those everywhere. My licorice is growing in this bed over here, but it's popping up all over the garden, which is glorious. I'm going to harvest a bunch of those roots this year as well, so we'll have some really good licorice root to go in our teas for the winter. We've got hollyhocks, marshmallow, and if it'll focus, there we go. That's looking beautiful. I've got zucchini growing in this bed, along with a whole bunch of motherwort and evening primrose, and I'm just loving the look of that. The zucchini has done so well, and you can't hardly see it. It's buried in there, but this is the least problem I've had with squash bugs ever, because they're just buried in between all these beautiful herbs. So really, I've put like 2-3 hours worth of work into the garden this year, other than a weekend where I really just dove in and got out tons and tons of hops, and they were taking over the garden. And even now I've got a couple of little vines that are coming up, but I'm pulling them as much as I can. I have decided that hops are something that are beautiful, and I love them, and they have a good medicinal value, but they're not something that I'm going to grow in a garden anymore. Maybe out in a field where I can mow around the area to stop any potential runners from coming up through the ground and taking over beds. Some gladiolas. This is the chicken coop, and this tree right here is my cider apple tree, and it is benefiting so much from being downhill of the chicken coop. It's only been growing for about 2 years, and already I have an apple on it. Oh, come on, there we go. an apple growing. I don't expect a lot yet, but one is pretty good. The food forest has been my crowning glory. Oh, it's just overrun, which is wonderful. And I'm getting a really good canopy going, and you can see the vines coming from the canopy. This is kiwi vine. I've also got grapevine growing across. The apple trees have really produced. We've already harvested off of this tree already. My son, my newest little baby, he has just devoured any of the apples off of this one. I don't know what apple this is. This is a heirloom apple that my in-laws actually planted, which was the foundation for me planting all the rest of the fruit trees. But the bee balm is above my head and was glorious earlier this year when it was in bloom. Got this beautiful elderberry that again is towering over me. The strawberries are doing a really good job of covering. Now, if you'll see, my grape trellis is severely lacking right now, but I've got a fix for that. My apple tree, well, one of them is just laden this year. Oh, it's so wonderful seeing all of the apples. You can see the 4 o'clocks coming up underneath all the apple trees and the fruit trees. They came up really well. The blueberry bushes are really starting to come up. They're getting bigger and they're doing so well. Got a peach in my hand I'm ready to snack on as soon as I stop talking. My plum has some plums on it. The peach trees all just do so well here. They become heavy laden. I have to come knock off so many of the fruit. Otherwise, they'll break their branches. And the elderberry is so tall, I can't even. I need to get a big ladder out here in order to harvest some of these branches and these berries. The berries are coming along. I think this is an Adams. I could be wrong. My witch hazel tree is so tall now. I've got my almond trees are doing really well. And this has got to be one of my favorite spots in the whole garden. I love it back there. But everything is doing really, really good. My figs are doing well. We ate cherries off the cherry trees, sweet cherries this year, and those were devoured within seconds. I mean, as soon as one would get ripe, we'd eat it. Look at, here's some of the fig too. More apples. The grapes, they have no place to go right now, which is really sad because my husband helped me tear down the grape trellis because it was falling apart, and we just haven't gotten to fix it yet, but I have a fix. I know what I'm gonna do. I have spent a good amount of time in the food forest this year going through and getting rid of any of my thorny blackberries because they've got vicious thorns. I am keeping the wine berries even though they do have somewhat thorns. I don't know if you can see those. Just a little bit. They're kind of fuzzy thorns, but wine berries are my son's favorite. So they're gonna stay, and I've been digging them under a little bit so that I can have new shoots coming up. I'm gonna take those new shoots and we're gonna plant those all around the property because he just loves them. But the blackberries, they're kind of, I don't wanna say the word invasive. They pop up where they wanna pop up. And I just want him to be able to walk around here barefoot and not have to worry about a toddler because he's almost 18 months now, walking around and stepping on thorns. That's not the idea of the food forest. The idea of the food forest is for my kids to be able to come in here and just eat anything that they want, anytime they want, and not have to worry about anything hurting them. And so I've come in here a lot and ripped out these blackberries by the roots, and I'm trying to just eradicate them from the area as much as possible. My pawpaw is doing so good. If I was standing downhill with it, it would probably be about 3 feet over my head. It's very tall. That makes me very happy. The mulberry, I cut this thing down to here this winter. You can see how much it's grown. That's crazy. I'm gonna have to really do a summer pruning on that, I think. But all of these are raspberries, if you can see. I cut down everything in here all the way down to the fence except for my trees, right? Down to the ground. And so we don't have a ton of fruit this year, as in raspberries or loganberries or anything like that, but because they come on the second year's growth. But this, there's a lot of new shoots coming up, which is great because I want to take those and transplant them all around, hey Sawyer, all around the property and get as much bang for my buck out of these berries as I possibly can. My honeyberries are doing really, really well. They're getting super tall, which is great. When I cut everything down, I did not cut the honeyberries down, and they did really well getting some extra sun this spring. So just a lot going on. I did have one tree die. So this is the first, one of the first trees that I planted. And this one has just always struggled. But this is my pear tree that is in the back corner, mostly shaded area. And every year it just struggled, and this year it bit the dust, and it didn't leaf out anymore. I pruned it. I did a copper spray in the winter, and it just didn't do it. But that's okay. I've got a Juneberry coming up right next to it, and this just gives me another excuse to get another fruit tree. And this guy was struggling a lot, but he's really coming along too, and he gave off a lot of cherries that were super sweet this year, which is awesome. And we have definitely gotten a lot of bee balms spreading out everywhere, which is awesome. I like for them to go where they want to go. And the evening primrose is edible. I just learned this. I knew they were beautiful and it was a great medicinal herb, but evening primrose is edible, and it is one of the favorite foods for the, I forget the name of the bird. It's yellow. It's bright yellow. I just said the name earlier. I'll put the name under right there. I can't think right now. But all year long they eat the seeds in the winter. All winter long they eat the seeds, and it keeps them fed. So if you want to have them in your garden, because they're beautiful and they're really good at pest control, then keep evening primrose in your garden. The 4 o'clock's coming up. The roses. I cut these roses back to the ground. I cut most things that were shrubbery and herbs and berries and such down to the ground this winter. And look at these rose hips. They're just so beautiful. Man, they're huge. I mean, you see that, right? How huge those rose hips are. It's crazy. These are awesome for tea. I'm going to wait till they get a little bit more red to harvest them. We just had a rain, so the roses are not as pretty as they could be. Illinois bundleflower. It's not a mimosa tree, guys. It's not a mimosa. And my little boy with the dog. And the sage. And this is an example of the evening primrose. If you see yellow flowers in my garden right now, that's the evening primrose. The lilies did a really good job. I transplanted them from back there because you could hardly see them back there. Here, I thought that my daisies had all died, and I cried so hard, but they are coming back, which is wonderful. And I planted some new daisies because I thought they weren't coming back. So I planted new daisies. We'll have some crazy daisies in there along with these. My little girl reading, she's doing so good. These roses are coming back strong. Anyway, I'm going to sit down and just enjoy the beauty and the wildness of this garden. Okay, so hopefully I'll get out here soon and be able to get some more videos. I want a video doing the rest of this trellis and fixing the door. And then as things are ripening in the food forest, especially like the apples and the peaches and the grapes and all sorts of things like that. So I want to keep you in the loop on that. But, you know, things with toddler, it's a little crazy, so I'm not going to say when I'm going to get stuff out, but I'll try to get it out as much as possible. But thank you for your patience, everyone. The garden, because it's a food forest, it's been doing its own thing and thriving and just becoming more and more abundant every year. I'm looking at the garden beds right now, and it's creating its own mulch, which is fabulous. That's what we wanted. There is so much life. There's dozens of different kinds of birds flying around right now. You can hear the insects. Herbs are popping up everywhere. Flowers, fruit is really coming along. And it's nice because I had to take that time off, and it was really important for our family. And I come back and it's still a glorious place, and it's still producing. And I got to bring my 18-month-old out here. I mean, since he was littler too, I've brought him out here, and we just walk along and we pick blueberries, and he eats them all. Raspberries and mulberries, and he loves the aronia berries. And the aronias are super ripe right now. I don't know if you can see them. Actually, let me show you. See, we've got these aronia berries here. And I have said before that I don't like them, that they're really gross. And I think that's because I was expecting them to taste like blueberries. And I just had this berry idea in my head, like of what a berry is supposed to taste like. And they do not taste like that. But if you expect them to taste like a Granny Smith apple, then they're delicious. It's kind of like trying to drink milk, but then it ends up being orange juice. It tastes disgusting, right? But if you expect orange juice, that's what you want, right? And it's delicious. But the aronia berries, if you're expecting Granny Smith apple, they're delicious, and they're so good for you. They're so healthy, and the baby loves them so much. He comes out here, he eats them by the handful, and it's just everything that I could have wanted. Coming out here with my children, them just eating whatever they want, knowing that it's healthy, knowing that it's good for them, that there's no spray products on them at all, and seeing how abundant it is and that it's getting better every year, even if I don't do anything to it. Well, that's the whole idea. So anyway, I will be checking in with you guys soon. I hope you guys have a lovely evening and stay blessed.